Last week, Illinois joined over 20 other states in suing President Trump over his order to end birthright citizenship. They argue the order violates the 14th Amendment and the Immigration and Nationality Act. The act specifies that the law does not empower the president to determine who should or should not be granted U.S. citizenship at birth. Trump's order would exclude citizenship in the future for people born to parents who are here illegally. It also applies to people born to parents in the country legally, but on a temporary basis. It's an issue that's personal to Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul.
There are provisions in the Constitution we can debate about, but this is plain language. All persons born or naturalized in the United States are citizens. I'm the child of Haitian immigrants, and while she was a legal resident, my mother was not yet naturalized at the time of my birth. I am a birthright baby, so this is personal to me.
Boutwell, radical Republican and champion of democracy, tells the story of George Boutwell, a lawmaker and abolitionist who framed the 14th and 15th Amendments. His distant cousin, Jeffrey Boutwell, author of the book, joins us. Jeffrey, thanks so much for joining us. I mean, when you heard this, what was your first thought?
My first thought was what I remember George Boutwell saying at the time that he helped write the 14th Amendment, and that is, these words were chosen with care. We mean exactly what we say in the 14th Amendment. And when they talk about birthright citizenship, it applies to everyone born in the U.S. except for three categories back in the 1860s. One were the children of diplomats, because of course diplomats are the citizens of other countries. Two were the possible children of any enemy forces on American territory. If the British or the Spanish had invaded parts of the Northwest or whatever, obviously we're not going to give birthright citizenship to children of an enemy soldier on American territory. The third category were Indians at the time, of course, who, if they were subject to tribal laws, were not subject to American jurisdiction, so they wouldn't get citizenship. The important thing to remember is that back in the 1860s, there was no difference between documented and undocumented immigrants. Every immigrant who came to this country came with the prospect of getting naturalization, getting citizenship, and they didn't arrive through Ellis Island or whatever and say, okay, you're documented, you're undocumented. That distinction didn't exist. So it's really a stretch for anyone today to say that birthright citizenship should not apply to undocumented immigrants, because that was not the case back then.
That sounds very progressive, especially for 2025.
George Boutwell was progressive back in the 1860s. As you said, Mikey, he helped frame the 14th and 15th Amendments to the Constitution. He was fighting for Black rights even before the Civil War. The two most important issues for him were public education for all citizens and the vote for all citizens. And he certainly would be appalled to see what's happening today with the restrictions that are being put in place by the individual states to curtail voting, to even curtail public education.
In your opinion, why is it being challenged now, and how can a law be challenged?
Well, Trump would have to get it before the Supreme Court in order to rule it unconstitutional, which I think is what he is hoping will happen, that the state attorneys general who are suing him will lodge their complaints, and then the case will be kicked upstairs to the Supreme Court. And with the conservative majority, some of whom were appointed by Trump, he's hoping that they will find a very elastic constitution that will allow his interpretation to become law, which it shouldn't.
It sounds like George's legacy has gone down through the years, through the Boutwells, because you seem like you think the same way that he did.
Well, I'm certainly very much of a like mind with George. I'd have to say there are members of our family who are, think differently. Like in any family, you've got liberals and conservatives and whatnot. But yes, I do carry on the tradition of equal protection of the laws, citizenship for all under the Constitution. George was very much like Abraham Lincoln. Of course, we're talking in Illinois. He treated the Constitution as a civil religion. That was the touchstone of what he felt made America great, and it should be revered and treated accordingly.
What was his position? I mean, how was he able to help to put this together, to make this happen?
At the time, George was in the House of Representatives. He was a member of both the House Judiciary Committee and the important Joint Committee on Reconstruction. And it was those committees that were, required or tasked to write the 14th and 15th Amendments. And he had previous experience. He helped write the Republican Party platform in 1860 for Abraham Lincoln. So he had plenty of experience in putting concepts onto paper that could be enshrined into American law.
Did he get pushback for this?
Did he get pushback?
Yes.
Oh, yes, absolutely. People well know Reconstruction died a very painful death in the 1870s and 80s. Northern whites and Republicans got kind of tired of trying to protect Black rights in the South. The Southern white conservatives, one by one, took over their state governments. And of course, that all led to Jim Crow in the 1880s and 90s, which was the dominant mode of Black-white relations until the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s.
Jeffrey, thank you so much. I'm grabbing this book. You can find his book at your favorite online bookseller or at jeffreyboutwell.com. Appreciate it. Be safe, be well.
Thank you.